Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? My name's Renee Blanding, and I'm the Vice President for Medical Affairs. I want to welcome you to our Light the Labyrinth celebration and observance. And I want to first off thank you for being here. So why don't you give yourself a round of applause for being here. Great. And I also want to thank those who have actually put a lot of time and energy into preparing this. And so there's so many people that have been involved in making this a success. You've heard our musicians, you've seen from our planners. So why don't we give them a round of applause too, and thank you. So I can tell you that this is our 10th Light the Labyrinth celebration. We first started in 2010, but we had to take a little break in 2020 and in 2021 due to the pandemic, but we're back, and so we're excited about that. And this is actually an event that is our signature holiday event, so we're excited to have you again, and we're excited to be back in person. So the Light the Labyrinth observance is basically an event for our neighborhood, and you are our neighbors, all of our employees, our visitors and families in the medical center. The vision for this event is to celebrate various and diverse faith traditions, family members and loved ones who are important in our lives, and light as a universal sign of hope and comfort in the midst of the winter season. And we know that sometimes during the winter, our days get very long and very dark, and that's why we're here to light the way and shed some light on this event. So our Patient Family Advisory Council here at Bayview is also a co-sponsor of this event, and we are incredibly appreciative. So now I'm going to hand off to Reverend Dr. Paula Teague, who's going to give us some information about the labyrinth itself, because it has some history that goes along with it. So thank you very much.
So good evening, everybody. We're back. It's so cool to be back. I want to join Dr. Blanding in welcoming you all here tonight. This is the time that we set aside to celebrate diversity at this holiday season. It seems particularly fitting at this time in our city and country and world that we pause and we recognize that there's a great divide among us, and yet here in the midst of this space, we can celebrate something that we have in common: light. Light seems to be a universal symbol of hope and inspiration. Around the world, people light candles as a symbol of hope. And here we are tonight. We're going to celebrate our light by putting some candles on our labyrinth. I want to say just a quick word about labyrinths. Labyrinths are not new. They've been in the world for a very long time. They date back to the Bronze Age even, when simple 7-circuit models were in place. But the thing about a labyrinth is, guess what? It's not a maze. You don't get lost in a labyrinth. A labyrinth is a journey, and you can walk into the center of the labyrinth, and you can find your way back out. And it symbolizes that journey that we are all on in our lives, the journey of reflection and process and peace and hope. We're really grateful to Nature Sacred for this labyrinth, our portable labyrinth, as well as our labyrinth located on the lawn out in front of the Bayview Hospital. So if you ever have a chance to visit that space, please do that. It's a really lovely space. We think of this event tonight here in this space as a cozy labyrinth, and the one outside as our big event, and hopefully next year we'll be able to be outside. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Our Lady of Hope and St. Luke's Choir, and I want to say a particular word of thanks to Ms. Taylor Palace for her continued support for this event. So take it away, St. Luke's. excited tonight to have 3 different perspectives on light. Every year we focus on different ones of them. And tonight we're gonna hear about the Buddhist tradition, the Hispanic culture, and our Kwanzaa celebration. Our Christian tradition, of course, is represented in our Lady of Hope, St. Luke's School Choir. So the Hebrew Scriptures tells us that people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine. And the Gospel of John and the Christian Scripture says that Jesus said his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. And in Islam, there is the phrase, the light of God, metaphorically, which is the sense that God illuminates the world with understanding. So tonight, we affirm light. It's my pleasure to introduce Kelsang Chogden, followed by Jesus Rivera, to tell us about the Buddhist tradition and the Hispanic tradition.
So it also continues, please nourish me with your goodness, so that I may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. So we're opening our hearts for very powerful blessings, which we experience in the form of lights and nectars coming into our mind and our heart. And basically, our unpeaceful states of mind, including our ignorance, our uncontrolled desire, which we call attachment, and our anger, are considered the darkness of our mind. So combined with effort that we make to listen to and meditate, contemplate, and actually practice Buddha's teachings, we dispel the darkness of our ignorance with the light of wisdom. So these blessings come in the form of these lights and nectars. And as the light of our wisdom grows, eventually our mind and our world become completely pure, filled with unceasing peace. And everyone surrounding us is also completely pure. And so our hearts are filled with this unceasing peace, happiness, and delight. Notice the word light is in the word delight. At that time, we attain the perfection of our human qualities, which we call enlightenment. And our bodies have transformed into pure wisdom light. An enlightened being possesses the inner light of wisdom, which is completely free from mistake and appearance, and his function is to bestow inner peace upon each and every living being, without exception, every day. We believe that everyone receives these peaceful blessings regardless of whatever beliefs they follow. But when we make requests and we open our heart, particularly to receive these blessings, they become very powerful to produce spiritual realizations and inner peace. And again, they come in this form of lights and nectars which fill our heart with inner peace and realizations. So as you can see, light touches our heart in many ways in Buddhism. So thank you.
How do you say light in Spanish? Luz. Let's hear the word. Luz. Luz. Okay, now I'm going to make it even more complicated. In the Latino Spanish tradition, there is a phrase that says, dar a luz. Can you say that? Dar a luz. Dar a luz. It is what they say instead of having a baby. They say to the lady, da a luz. She gave light to the world. Imagine what that means. In the Latino way of thinking, all of us, when we are born, we are light given to the world. Doesn't that sound pretty cool? Doesn't that sound wonderful? I am light. You are light. We are light. And we are called to be light to each other. I'm going to tell you a little story. My family, when my parents were in Puerto Rico, in the rural part of the island, they didn't know who Santa Claus was. They didn't know who the elves were. They never heard of the North Pole because they had a different tradition. And the tradition is they would put hay in a box and go to bed, and the hay was for the camels. Have you heard this story before? The camels that came with the three kings. So instead of getting gifts from Santa, they would get a gift. They would leave the hay. The camel would eat the hay and leave a little present for the child. So, your parents are not going to like what I'm about to say. On Christmas, you receive gifts, but on January 6th, which is the Feast of the Three Kings, the Day of the Three Kings, you should get a gift as well. So tell your parents, all right? January 6th, Feast of the Three Kings, you should get a gift. But I'd like to finish with this idea. The story of the three kings. They came from far away. And the journey was hard. And they got lost. And when they got lost, do you remember what they did? There was a star in the sky. And they looked up at the star, and sometimes it happens to us. We get depressed, we get lost. Look at the light in the sky. Look at the star. It will guide you to love, to loose, to light. Amen. Amen.
now to introduce the Black History Month Committee. Before they present Kwanzaa, I just want us to say a quick word about our very dear sister, Ella Durant. Ella passed away a few days ago. Ella was a really key part of Light the Labyrinth from our very beginning. And she introduced the idea for us to have Kwanzaa at every one of our events through the years. So it's especially fitting, I think, tonight for us to remember her and to thank her and to again have the Black History Month Committee with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula, for that. Hi, I'm Tiara Hall with the Black History Committee, and we're going to present Kwanzaa. Dr. Malana Karenga, professor and chairman of Black Studies at California State University, Long Beach, created Kwanzaa in 1966. After the Watts riots in Los Angeles, Dr. Karenga searched for ways to bring African Americans together as a community. He founded US, a cultural organization, and started to research African first fruit harvest celebrations. Karenga combined aspects of several different harvest celebrations, such as those of the Ashanti and those of the Zulu, to form the basis of Kwanzaa. The name Kwanzaa is derived from the phrase Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits in Swahili. Each family celebrates Kwanzaa in its own way, but celebrations often include songs and dances, African drums, storytelling, poetry reading, and a large traditional meal. On each of the 7 nights, the family gathers and a child lights one of the candles on the kinara, which we have here, which means candle holder. Then one of the 7 principles is discussed. The principles, called the Nguzo Saba, 7 principles in Swahili, are values of African culture which contribute to building and reinforcing community among African Americans. Kwanzaa also has 7 basic symbols which represent values and concepts reflective of African culture. An African feast called a Karamu is held on December 31st.
Now there are 7 principles to Kwanzaa, or AKA Nguzo Saba, as they say in Swahili, are a set of ideals created by Dr. Malana Karenga. Each day of Kwanzaa emphasizes a different principle. The first principle is umoja, which means unity, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
The second principle is Kujigagulia, also known as self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves.
The third principle is Ujima. The principle of Ujima stands for the fact that we should maintain and build our communities together. We should share our brothers and sisters' problems together, and we should solve those problems together.
The fourth principle is cooperative economics, also known as Ujamaa, to build and maintain our own stories, our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to build profit from them together. And fifth, purpose, Nija, to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. Thank you.
Our next principle is Kuyumba, means creativity, to always do as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited.
And the seventh one is called faith, imani. To believe with all our heart in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
I'm really honored to gather here with you tonight to light our Labyrinth. This is my very first event here, so thank you all for joining us. I'd like to thank our talented musicians, our singers, and all of our guitarists and drummers. Can we just give them an extra round of applause? And I also want to thank all of you for being here, and also our community members who are joining us, especially those who have shared a bit about their own traditions. Can we give them a round of applause, please? So tonight is really a beautiful symbol about what makes the Johns Hopkins Bayview campus so remarkable. Each of us comes with our own traditions, our own gifts, our own light to share with the world. We listen to each other, we learn from each other, and we grow together as we care for the health and well-being of each other in our community. On the good days, we celebrate together, and on the challenging days, we shine our lights even brighter to illuminate the path ahead. Tonight, I have the real privilege of being joined by other members of the Johns Hopkins Bayview leadership team, all behind me. And as we enter the next phase of our program, everyone present is going to have the opportunity to reflect on what brings you hope this holiday season. I'm going to begin by sharing my inspiration, and then I'll invite my colleagues to do the same, and we will place our candles on the Labyrinth. So I'll start. I am inspired by what we can accomplish together to serve our common mission. We're driven to provide hope for all who come to our doorstep here at Bayview, and to remain a bright light in our Baltimore community.
I am strengthened by our faculty and staff. In the face of a pandemic, you put your own fears aside and rose to the challenge of the moment. Now, almost 3 years later, you continue to rise to each new challenge in meeting the physical, mental, and emotional health needs of our patients.
I find light in how we look out for each other. When we listen to each other's challenges, we can lighten the load for each other. We can lift each other up.
I find hope in the brilliant minds that surround us. You work hard to find solutions to some of the most complex problems facing our world today. You continue to innovate and push the boundaries of what is possible.
I am humbled by our commitment to education. We are a group of lifelong learners who know nothing is impossible. Our strength comes from the knowledge we share with each other.
I find light in our patience. You come to us in your most challenging moments and trust us with your lives. You inspire us to bring out the very best work to each day. You inspire us with your courage.
I find hope in the faces of the next generation. The work we do today shapes the future you will inherit. May we continue to listen to you and to learn from you.
I am so strengthened by our community partners that join us to help us take care of the health of our great city and to always speak up for what is right. You bring us hope for all that our city is and all that our city can become.
So each of us in the room tonight has a candle. If you don't have a candle, there's some more up here or at the back. Think about what brings you hope this holiday season.
So this is a celebration of light around our campus, and I have a very special guest who is coming to help me flip the switch so that we can complete our campus lighting. When you go outside, we hope that you'll admire all the beautiful lights that we have up all over our campus. So in order to help Anna Murphy, who is going to flip the switch this year to turn on all of the lights, we're going to give her a little countdown. So I hope that you will all help me. We're going to go backwards from 10. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
So as you go from this place, my hope for you is that you'll be filled with light from within, that you'll feel lighter in your spirit as you go about these holidays, and that there will be many occasions when you are reminded that whatever your faith or belief, we stood together tonight in community. Thank you so much for coming. Come back next year and have a wonderful holiday season. Take care.